Hi parents, I'm Tammy Muller. I was your kids' Bible speaker for the week and had the privilege of spending the whole week with them, and they are amazing. They captured my heart. I know why you love them so much, and God provided for us. I know it was just downpouring on your way here, but I'll tell you what, the moment you guys pulled out, it was 80 and sunny all week, so the perfect weather for a perfect week. We always like to take an opportunity to kind of share with you what we did at camp so that when your kid comes home, you can have some conversations that continue on and keep that camp spirit alive, that spirit that God put in them, passion for Him and for His Word. We eliminated all distractions this week, so no Fortnite, no video games, no Snapchat, Instagram, TV, movies, nothing. And every one of the campers said that they felt like they grew closer to God. So my encouragement to you is that keep the distractions low right away. Don't let them go right back into having all those same distractions they had right before they came to camp, but limit it and encourage them to get in their Bible before perhaps doing one of those activities we just mentioned. We want to take you through our week so that you have an idea of some of the conversations we talked about, so you can talk about them with your kids too. So we unearthed a lot of lies the enemy tells us. So this was our week of identifying the lie and exposing it as the lie. And so on the very first night, we looked at, is God? Is He real? We looked at things like the Big Bang and evolution and how those don't disprove God at all. It's either God made everything or chance made everything. And which one makes you have a greater faith? God says, I believe I have faith in one creator, and this says I have faith in a whole lot of miracles happening. And that can't happen. So we unearthed those. Ask your kids about that. And then we looked at who God was, because you can't trust somebody if you don't know who they are. And so we looked at the omnis: omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Say thank you, Spawns. I drew a blank there. So we looked at those three things this week, and we also looked at the fact that God created everything and owns it all. So ask your kids about theirs. They know the omnis, maybe even better than I do right now, huh? Day 2, what we looked at is we looked at what heaven is like. Your kids prepared and they thought about what they were going to do when they got here. It was maybe all they thought about for the week prior, maybe even looking on the website. But have we really thought about what heaven's going to be like? Ask them what they learned. And then we looked at, how do you get to heaven? Because we have this conception that everybody's in line for heaven and some earn a ticket to hell, when it's really the opposite. Everybody at birth is in line for hell, and God, because He's so good, offers us all a chance to go to heaven. And that chance is to admit we're sinners and ask Jesus to take the punishment that we deserve. And when we do that, God says, you become His child and you enter into His kingdom. Ask them about that. On day 3, we learned about what our best defense is. The enemy lies to us all the time. And we looked at 3 parables from Matthew 13. And so we looked at the parable of the hidden treasure, the parable of the pearl, and parable of the dragnet, pulling the fish into the shoreline. So ask them about how big that dragnet was. But in any event, look at those parables with your kids and have them tell you what they learned from there. But what they learned is the lies that the enemy says. He says, that there's a special prayer that'll get you into heaven. No, there's not. That it doesn't cost you anything, though. Yes, it does. It costs you a lot after you're saved. God says we obey because we're saved, not obey to get saved. And so those are some lies we unearthed this week. Last night was super fun. We talked about expanding the kingdom and that we're all called to have a part in that. And so we brought staff up to really mimic or go through for us what it would look like to walk somebody through the gospel in everyday life. We randomly picked 2 staff members, and then the kids got to pick the situation. You're in the Smoky Mountains, or you're at the grocery store, or whatever it might be. You're at the pool. Ask them about that one. That was funny. And then they had to try to walk through that so that the kids could see what it would look like, because it's tough. Ask your kid, hey, practice on me. What would you tell me if, say, I was on your sports team? How could you share the gospel with me on your sports team or point me to Christ? Ask them about that. And lastly today, we looked at the fact that once you're a believer, God asks you to do something with the ability and the opportunity and the teaching that He's provided for you. And based on what you do with it here, will determine how you live for eternity there. If you want to look up the parable for yourself, look up Matthew 25. It's the parable of the talents, 14 through 30 of Matthew 25. Look it up and go through it with your child. Thank you so much for sending them over here with us. What we left them with is this illustration. We said, you know, sometimes when you leave here, everything seems rosy at camp. But once you leave camp, things might get hard. And I put a kid on the stage, and I put this jar of water over his head. And I said, sometimes things look pretty bad, don't they? And he said, yeah, this isn't looking good for me. And I said, yeah, and sometimes that's what life will look like. And so if you trust only in what you can see, it might look really bad. But if you're trusting the one who holds it all, then you can trust that he's going to hold it all up for you and hold you up under it, give you strength to understand and go through the trials, knowing that he's holding it all. So I prayed with them and asked them to take this picture with them, because life is not going to be easy all the time. Thanks, parents. Thanks for sending your kids. Look forward to seeing them back here next summer.